We are indeed going through terrible times. In fact, the auto suggestion diction on the keypad of my phone immediately prompts heartfelt condolences and prayers these days the moment I open my keypad to type anything. This just shows the times we are going through now. So many friends, mentors, connects just going away in a flash. I look up to the Lord and pray every day. Please help those who have suffered and are suffering. Please show some respite to our beautiful world and its people. Let us begin this session with a minute silence to say a word of prayer for the souls of all those who have succumbed to their fate during these challenging times, and also invoke the blessings of Almighty for all of us to continue to be safe and to overcome these traumatic times. Please be seated and close your eyes for a minute. Thank you, and good evening to all our invited guests, Program Committee Chair, Past President Mr. S.R. Nair, other past presidents, Mr. A.K. Nair, Raj Mohan Nair, and if any other past president who is present here, our members of the Managing Committee, members of KMA and other LMAs, students, and other guests. Good to see that we have a fair number of attendants already, and I'm sure it will grow by the time this meeting progresses. Very difficult to think much in these gloomy days, and more difficult to plan anything with uncertainty over many things looming large. But thanks to Zoom and other online platforms, we all have been pulling on, and KMA has been trying all options to keep our members engaged, remain positive, and provide with meaningful deliberations and events of utility. We've been conducting regular lecture sessions named as the KMA Leader Talks series. In fact, we have had 13 of them till now this year, all with celebrated speakers from the industry and academia. Conducted one executive development program. Our Women's Managers Forum has conducted 6 events till now, aimed at nurturing and aiding women leaders. We even did a full week of events during the Management Week celebrations in February, as well as conducted the KMA Digital Summit in March. And last week, in addition to our other events, we also organized a very special meeting to pay tributes to the departed legendary leader, Srimati Gauri Amma, while we've had very renowned personalities, including the new Industries Minister, Sri P. Rajiv, remembering the unique leader. Today's program is a continuation of the new initiative conceived and taken forward this year under the leadership of our Program Committee Chair, Past President and Corporate Mentor, Mr. S.R. Nair, a startup conversation series titled as KMA StartCon Panel Discussions. Here we introduce and present those new entrepreneurs who have ventured out to follow their passion and conviction and trying to make it big with their innovative ideas and concepts. It is very important to hear their successes and, more importantly, the tough path and the setbacks that they faced in their journeys and how they reached this current position of recognition, thereby securing an invitation to this KMA platform to address us all. The first of this StartCon series saw Mr. Sujit Bhaskaran of Gigs Board India and Ms. Fauzi Nizam of Cutie Pie Cakes, and the next one was with Mr. Joy Sebastian, who founded the online conferencing solution vConsole, the award-winning one, and Mr. George Sakria, who founded X Travel Money. The third one saw Mr. John Matthew, co-founder and CEO of Raifi Technologies Private Limited, and Mr. Jis George, co-founder and chairman of Transite Systems Private Limited. And in the fourth one, we had 2 outstanding women entrepreneurs, Ms. Sonia Mohandas, co-founder and CEO of Bafer Chip Techno Solutions Private Limited, and Ms. Ganga Raj, co-founder and director of EyeRov 9 months. And today we have the fifth in the series, and we have with us Mr. Johns Mathai, co-founder and CEO of the award-winning startup EyeRov Technologies Private Limited, and Mr. Vignesh, co-founder and director of Vashishta Research Private Limited, Trivandrum. For Johns, as I was mentioning earlier, it's a double entry, as he was once introduced to the KMA members through one of the issues of KMA News magazine, as well as the KMA Startup Awards. On behalf of the managing committee at KMA and all present here, may I welcome these two startup icons to this StartCon session. Warm welcome, Johns and Vignesh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I also extend my hearty welcome to all the past presidents present here, members of the managing committee and executive committee, members of KMA and other LMAs, student members, members of the media, and all invited guests to this edition of StartCon. So with that, let me invite our program committee chair and past president, Mr. S.R. Nair, to introduce our two speakers and engage them in a conversation to make us understand their winning ways and formulae to success. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President Madhav. Am I audible, Madhav?
Yes, you're
yes. Okay, right. Thank you, President Madhav. Distinguished speakers of the day, KMA past presidents, KMA members, and student members, as well as ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I would start by introducing both the startup entrepreneurs and then engage them with the questions. In the latter half of the session, I would also take questions from you, for which you can actually put your questions into the chat mode. Okay, I would recognize you as well as ask the question on your behalf. Okay, so let me, without wasting much time, let me introduce our award-winning startup entrepreneur, Mr. Johns T. Mathai. Johns T. Mathai is the co-founder and CEO of EyeRov Technologies Private Limited. Okay, EyeRov Technologies came into prominence with its product, an underwater drone that facilitates many a job underwater for reservoirs, for ships, for tanks, until then considered to be a very tough proposition. Johns did his BTech from College of Engineering, Trivandrum, and MTech in Electrical and Electronics from IIT, Delhi. Before starting up with co-founder Kannappa Palliyappan, who is a CTO also, Johns worked in Samsung R&D and Grey Orange Private Limited. EyeRov was one of the early startups in Kerala that got into prominence from national recognition, receiving development grants from KSUN, Bharat Petroleum Corporation, and many other enterprises. EyeRov also was one of the winners of startups in KMA award ceremony held about 3 to 4 years time. Ladies and gentlemen, while President has already welcomed Johns Mathai, Johns, once again, a great welcome to you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Let me now introduce Mr. Vignesh. Vignesh is a co-founder and director of Vashishta Research Private Limited. Vashishta Research Private Limited is a startup engaged in developing next generation computer-aided CAI, it is called inspection technology, which integrates robotics, NDT equipments, and image processing software to provide an end-to-end solution for the testing of panels. The robo include a cable driver parallel manipulator that can scan over a panel, and a climbing robo that can climb on surface of the actual vehicle and inspect it. Vashishta Research is a winner of DRDO Dare to Dream Award for the year 2019 and the Manufacturing Innovation Challenge Award of NASSCOM COE in the year 2020. Vignesh KC, okay, is a BTech from NIT Calicut and MTech from Indian Institute of Space Sciences and Technology, Trivandrum, okay, which is started by the ISRO. Okay, before starting up with Vashishta Research with Saurabh Chatterjee, Vignesh had worked with TCS. Vignesh, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
I would start with Johns, and then I will come to you, Vignesh. So we'll start. Okay. Now, Johns, you have, congratulations. You have been, we have been seeing you very often on the TV, on the newspapers, and multiple social media channels everywhere, receiving many an awards and receiving many a contract. Okay. Now, would you? What was the motivation behind coming into or starting up setup while you were employed very well as a master's in technology from IIT. I'm sure you could have had a very comfortable research and development life itself in this organization. So what was the motivation for you to come into this, Johns?
Yeah, so to tell about that, I think I need to go 14 years back when I studied my BTech
Okay.
back in College of Engineering Trivandrum. So I was very passionate about robotics.
Okay.
So we were one of the early members who started the robotics club in the college in 2006, 2007. And Kannappa was also during at that time my hostel mate, and we built a team over there building robots and participating in various national level competitions. So during the 4 years, I would say mostly we were engaged in building robots and participating. So that in that time itself, we had a passion in building robots and hardware things. Even after that, getting in doing masters and I was placed in Samsung. I was not satisfied with what my job responsibilities, and because it was totally mostly a different level of works. So I switched to another robotics company which was called Grey Orange Robotics, which I was very passionate about. I went on a low pay scale with my comparative to my previous company actually, and there also I worked at around 2 years. And what I felt was we had this always in our passion to build something of our own. And Kannappa was actually working with National of Ocean Technology. He had also a similar career doing his masters and working. And when he was actually traveling in ships, there was a requirement that the ship hull had to be inspected because of one accident or incident. So it had to be inspected, and they were not able to call up divers to get the inspection done. So we thought we have robots working in sent to Mars, working in 6,000 meter depth at oil rocks. Why can't we have a robot to do a very shallow water inspection? So that idea triggered us to build a miniature ROV, or called as an underwater drone. And then we kicked off. I think we would mostly say we would be foolish enough, not knowing anything about entrepreneurship, just jumping into and starting building. I think most of the entrepreneurs would have been ventured into entrepreneurship. That so we had a lot of hurdles and other things in the initial years, but I think we were able to survive because of the support of lot many people and also God's grace. Yeah.
What we had seen is, we have been having quite a number of startups in Kerala in the area of robotics, and you have Vignesh company being one of them. I have seen Asimo, I have seen Shastra, I have seen Gen Robotics, I have seen Inker. There are many of them. And in your case, it is basically robotics, but it is underwater robotics, and you called it a drone. Why?
Yeah, so basically it is to convey the idea very easily. Drone is a very easy term for everyone to understand. And we just simply say underwater drone. Drone is already known. Everyone knows it's an aerial drone. Just to convey it easily, we say it's an underwater drone. So the idea
but
basically.
While saying so, Johns, that robotics, that oomph of attached to the robotics is lost, So did you not feel about it actually?
It's about how people perceive thing. I was assuming that drone still signifies robotics.
Okay. Technically speaking, yes, but each and every word gives a different imagery altogether, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you really look at that perspective, from that perspective, drone, because people have seen, particularly in every marriage that you go, this damn thing makes a lot of noise and creates a halagula over the functions. And sometimes it is also being treated as a little nuisance as far as the functions are concerned. So drone also have okay, fine. Now, what was the turning point, Johns? You went into this because, of course, the ship that Kannappa was there, and it needed some sort of a hull need to be checked up, and that idea actually came to you. But what was the turning point in actually coming to this underwater drone?
Yeah, I think the turning point would be, I think at some point of time we were almost down, and we were thinking of was thinking of actually shutting down at some point. Of all our finances were dried down. But at that time, DRDO actually came across us and actually called us for a meeting. It was in 2017. 2016 is where we started, August, September, where we got into Maker Village. And over 1 year, we've been developing the product, multiple variants. But in between, we got a connect with NPOL, Naval Physical Oceanographic Laboratory, and they got interested, and they had evaluated multiple players all over the world actually. But somehow they got convinced with us and placed the order, and that made the real change, where we had an actual customer and paying customer, and we were able to deliver that. So I think first customer was, I think, one of our breakthrough, and it got a good amount of PR also, and then we were able to get through. I think
so. NPOL or DRDO was got sent to you, and NPOL also happens to be at Cochin. Your enterprise also is happen to be closer to it. Okay.
Yes.
Now tell me, you have essentially your organization is based out of the Maker Village. Yes. What is the level of assistance that you have received from Kerala Startup Mission and the government, including Maker Village? Will you be able to highlight on that, please?
Yeah, Maker Village and KSM has been part of us from the beginning. I think the first initial seed grant of 5 to 10 lakhs was received from KSM, and also a seed loan from Maker Village of 5 lakhs, which helped us build the first product actually for the DRDO, even though we had other assistance also coming at later point from BPCL, but the funding gave us a mileage in building the initial prototypes. And I think many of our mentors and advisors came through the connects from Maker Village. I think one of Balagopal sir was connected through Maker Village, and many of these connections was established through some of the other events or hand-holding events which have been done by KSM and Maker Village. And needless to say, the PR and media support is given, definitely is also valuable. Yeah,
I understand, but actually you're right. So I just what the question also was guided to, and you've answered very beautifully. See, I think these sort of things really need an ecosystem, and I believe Maker Village as well as KSM gave you that ecosystem, right? That Avas Vyavastha. That was great. Okay. Now, at what point in time, okay, that your organization has decided that okay, we have arrived. That is an okay. Okay, we have arrived. Now we can go forward. What was the time frame? By what time frame that you had started thinking that way?
It's a difficult question to answer. If anyone asks if I am still comfortable, I would say I'm still not comfortable with the way we are doing. But to answer your question, so this is a viable business we can go forward with. I think if you are asking that question directly, I think probably when we started getting projects now, just with after NPOL, we had again another 1 year break because I would say there were like first line entrepreneurs has these mistakes of, and especially with technical founders having the mistakes of sticking with the product and assuming that customers will come to us. We had a shortage of customers and breaks in between. But after that, we ourselves went into and got spoken with multiple customers, particularly with dam owners and other owners, and then some projects happened to come in. So I would say probably 2019, 2 years back would be the right time where we felt that okay, this can be achieved. We are capable to do that, and there is a market to it, so we should be able to do. I don't have an exact point, but yeah.
Yeah, I take this that because 2016 you started up, and 2019 within about 3 years time you had come to a level, okay, wherein you can say that okay, now the going forward can be good. Now tell me this one, what is your order book looks like? What the number of clients that you have? How is it? What is it? Because just when we were chit-chatting, you were telling that okay, you are now due to deliver something to the ministry, and you're running around for that. So how comfortable are you with your order positions now?
Yeah, so being with COVID, there are a lot of uncertainties, but probably we were initially looking at a 5-year target this year, but probably we might not be able to reach it. probably we would have to optimize it based on the current condition. But at least just to give an idea, we are looking at selling 10 units this year as a product sales, and almost 24 inspections as a services. That is something we are looking at this financial year.
Great. I will park you there for a while, John. So I'll come back to you. We have more questions to be asked, but let me come to Vignesh. Okay. When I was talking to Vignesh, Vignesh told me that, okay, probably because his type of robotics is a little different from the rest of it. So he said he will play a 1-minute video about the product. Vignesh, you can do that now.
Start with that.
And if the audio voiceover is not good, you can explain it over. Okay. And then within that minute, I'll come back to you with the answers. I'll come to you with the answers. Please go ahead. Prajit, please give him the rights to share the screen.
I hope it's...
The screen is visible. Your photo is there actually. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
sure. Okay.
The NDT systems we are trying to develop are thermography.
So this is the thermographic NDT system we are developing, and it will scan over this composite panel.
Okay.
And these composite panels are used as components for the aerospace industry. Basically, for example, rocket motor casings.
Yeah.
They use composites rather than metals because they're very lightweight and also much stronger than metals. So, and they need very different kind of NDT systems to get the defects from them.
Vignesh, we have been using the word NDT. I understand the full form of NDT, but many people in this meeting do not know what is NDT. Can you just give a little expression of that?
Yeah, I'll just play this and then I will just tell
fine.
you.
Yes.
Such systems from scratch.
So can you, as shown on the screen, these are the different defects that are present on that composite panel.
Okay.
And these defects are got from our NDT equipment by non-destructive testing. That means there is no destruction of that material for testing it. So without a by using a non-contact method, you're finding out the defects that occur in these aerospace panels.
Okay.
So basically this is used for like a quality assessment, whether the manufacturing has been done correctly. You know, even a small defect in an aerospace component can cause huge losses for the country.
Yes, it is.
Tomographic NDT is used to detect defects on composite panels by giving heat signal as input.
So these are the different defects that has been detected on some samples. This is using our technique.
A 5-axis Cartesian robot or cable-driven parallel robot will be fitted with one of our NDT payloads.
So this is a cable-driven parallel robot. Our NDT system will be fitted on this, and that will automatically scan over these aerospace panels and tell you where the defects are exactly. So we are automating the entire process.
Okay.
As of now, it is manual and takes a lot of time.
Understand.
Now, what we aim to do is that with just a click of a button, the user will get where the defects are, what kind of the defects are there, and whether the product can be used for further use or the product has to be discarded. Discarded.
Innovative motion planning and image stitching algorithm will be implemented to make the entire process automated.
So this is the image stitching. So based different locations they scan, and then a final image is portrayed for the user where the defects are. So the user will directly get the output from this image stitching algorithm.
Okay.
Customer obtains the results with just a click of a button.
So what we see is
the
a
motion,
product, right? That is a robot, right?
Yeah. Robot plus. So we develop the robots and the NDT equipments, both of them.
Yeah.
This takes a lot of time and manpower.
So this is the innovative motion planning algorithm.
Yeah. And this algorithm is developed by you.
Yes. Everything is developed by us from the scratch.
Okay.
So even the electronics we are developing.
And the associated engineering software.
This is one of the engineering software that we are developing.
Okay.
Basically, yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's come back to the question. Yeah. Prajit, please bring it back.
Stop share.
Yeah. So you were actually speaking about NDT. Will you explain that NDT aspect? Because lots of us people here are management functional people,
Yeah,
not
sure,
technical
sure.
people. So NDT, non-destructive testing, NDT. So
Yeah.
will you be able to give us some idea about
A
this?
brief idea. So what I would like to say in layman terms is that each component that is manufactured
Yeah.
has to go through a quality assessment.
Yes.
And in this quality assessment, if there is some defects during manufacturing,
Yeah.
and there is some defects, there is some crack in the manufactured component, so these components has to be discarded. So
Yes.
there are different testing tests to discard these components. So we are doing a non-destructive testing. That means without contact on these components, we can find out where the defects are and what kind of defects they are. So basically this comes under the quality assessment of the components that are being manufactured.
Let me ask you this question. Is it the first time indigenously such a system is developed or
Yes,
indigenously?
it is in the world only. There are only 2-3 companies doing such things.
Okay.
So in India, we are the only company developing these systems. Even the robotics, if you see, we are the only company doing all the components, the software, the electronics, and the hardware. So there are robotic companies. The industrial robotic companies are there that get the hardware, then they import the electronics, and then they have a separate import the software. They combine all of them, and then they deliver it. But we are developing all of them from scratch.
Okay. So when was your company incorporated?
Yeah, it was in July 2018. So at that time only Saurabh Chatterjee was our founder was there.
Yeah.
It was a one-person company, and at that time I was an MTech student at IIST.
Okay.
And in my second year, while I was doing my major project, Mr. Saurabh actually wanted to apply for a DRDO competition, IDEX.
Yes.
And at that time, even I wanted to get a little bit more exposure to practical elements, the practical aspects of design. And since our coursework and everything is highly theoretical, so even I wanted to get more exposure on the practical side.
Okay.
So I immediately said that I'm interested to work with him. And in a matter of like 2-3 months, we developed a complete working machine, a filament winding machine. That's also a manufacturing process.
Yeah.
And so after developing that, I got really interested in this. And then I decided like, okay, this is where I want to continue.
I asked the same question that I had asked John because it is important for us to understand about the ecosystem here. How good is the ecosystem in Kerala? Particularly, you were in Trivandrum, and your research is based out of IIST. How good is this ecosystem for a startup entrepreneur? That too in specific areas like niche, cutting edge areas like robotics and all.
Being in Trivandrum was really helpful because one of our mentors is also working in this field. He's the head of the non-destructive testing in ISRO.
Okay.
So he has been able to guide, and we have been guided by him very well.
Okay.
And IIST has supported us a lot by opening up their labs and using their facilities.
Yeah.
Since this is a very niche technology, not many incubators or not many people have the facilities that IIST can provide. So yeah, as the technical side, IIST and ISRO mentorship has been very effective for us. And we have been supported by KSUM with the grants. That has also been very helpful. And yes, we are still struggling with the business and the financial sides of it. Yeah, that we are.
Yeah, you're only maybe about 2+ years old.
Yes, yes.
Why did you say struggling?
Struggling because neither me or Mr. Saurabh has any experience in these. Both of us don't have any business-related backgrounds.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, to understand the financials, to understand different financial
Other than
statements,
KSUM, like what John's case, he got the grant from BPCL, etc. So,
yes,
have you been lucky to get similar grants elsewhere?
Yeah, so we participated in few startup competitions.
Okay.
So from there, DRDO Dare to Dream was one such competition. So we won the competition, hence we got the grant of 5 lakhs.
Okay.
And then recently, as you mentioned, we won the competition organized by NASCOM COE.
Yeah.
So as a part of that, we didn't get a grant actually. We got a live project with JK Lakshmi Cement.
Okay.
And so that was like a very helpful thing because our projects, we were searching for getting live projects for this 2021. And so JK Lakshmi project, the project with JK Lakshmi Cement was very helpful to boost our morale because in that field, what the requirement was very simple. Actually, even it was most of an volume estimation thing. So to come to that story, I would like to say that we applied for one topic, but we got selected for something else.
Okay.
And so the problem statement was like this: for their material management,
Yeah.
they wanted to estimate the volume of the cement that comes from their mines.
Okay.
The raw materials they wanted to estimate. As of now, they're doing a very manual process, and the calculation comes out very bad.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to improve their technology. And so we proposed a laser-based method.
Okay.
With the laser, we'll measure, we'll scan the entire system, and we'll get the volume directly in the software. So this was very unique for them because they had thought of it as an image processing problem, and we presented it as a geometry problem.
Okay.
So because of that, we got selected. So we are proud of that accomplishment.
Very good. So have you really come into, let's say, like what John's had been telling, I have this much of orders in hand, this has to be executed. Have you come into being a situation like that? Like how good is your order book?
Technology is still under development. Actually, it takes a lot of we are all in this saying that it will take time to develop it. So it's still under development, and I think the completely developed thing will come out only after 1 year.
1 year. How many people work for you now, Vignesh?
As of now, there are 5 people, all in technical backgrounds. So there is one person for electronics, there's one person for software development, then there's one person for programming. I handle the mechanical side of it. Yeah. And Saurabh Chatterjee takes care of the motion planning, image processing, the computer vision aspects of it.
Where does the money come from? Who is putting the money?
It's self-funded and then from grants.
Grants. That is what currently it is.
Now, yeah.
Okay. Fine. I'll come back to you now. Going back to John's. John's, you have been receiving so many of the awards and recognitions and accolades lately. If you really put up things together in perspective, is robotics going to be a future business proposition of a higher value?
It depends on, I don't believe actually on just as a robotics. What I always think is whether that solution, what it is being provided, whether that is valuable, and if that is built by a robotic solution, definitely that will work.
Okay.
For example, warehouse is one area where robotics has transformed drastically.
Yes, it is.
If you are able to get this Amazon orders within 1 or 2, 3 days, it has been just because of robots working in Amazon and Flipkart warehouses. I have been in my last company, I have been sitting in warehouses and setting up the robots over there.
Okay.
So it depends on the industry where your robotics is definitely going to be a game changer in warehouse. It's going to be where changing in autonomous systems, whether it be underwater, whether it be cars, all these areas where the technology is adding value, then I would say it is going to make a great change actually.
Yeah. At the same time, if you really look at it, companies, when they start up, I divide these companies into 3 phases. One is the startup phase, and one is stand-up phase, and then the scale-up phase. Which phase are you now in, John? Are you in stand-up phase or the scale-up phase?
If you can tell me what is stand-up phase, and
stand-up means you're able to manage yourself. There are 95 out of 100 companies that start, 95 close down, or at least 85 close down. 10 does hand-to-mouth existence, and 5 only actually get it better. So that is why I said stand-up. Yes.
Okay, I think we are in the scale-up phase actually. We are aggressively now on getting orders and getting the work done. So I would say probably in scale-up space.
Do you think by being in Cochin or by being, let's say, far away from the action-packed places like Delhi, Gurgaon, Bangalore, etc., do you envisage or do you see any disadvantage of being here as far as a growing up company, a scaling up company is concerned?
Obviously, there are advantages and disadvantages. If you specifically asked about disadvantages, I think probably that connects to investors, angel investors, people who can put in a high amount of ticket size. That would have been higher on metro cities like Bangalore or Mumbai. And that would, and probably the network also could be different. But I don't see it as a major disadvantage disadvantage, but I think the advantages were more than the disadvantages. Being in Cochin, having some of our customers here, I think we did the right decision to start in Cochin itself.
Okay. Now, scale up, when you really look at scale up, when you really look at a scenario like that, without funds coming from outside and without getting, as you rightly said, without getting connects from across the world or connects to across the world, the scaling up does not happen the way that we envisage that to happen. Now, by being here, you said that its own advantages and disadvantages are there, but have you come to realize that it is time to get funds and funding, and have you started working towards that, Johns?
Yeah, so we had already raised a seed round of funding in 2019.
Okay.
Gale has invested in us a seed round of funding.
Yeah.
And currently we are not in that need of funding, but probably we would look at if someone is ready to put in funds, and that can accelerate our growth. So we would be looking at raising funds, but currently our priority is mostly to get orders and get it to the market actually.
Okay. So marketing, how good is the marketing endeavor going to be? Are you happy with reaching out to your clients, or are you happy to, able to reach out to your clients as of now with different applications that you envisage?
Yeah, so only thing is that most of our customers are government, either it be dams, bridges, or sometimes PSUs. Some of them will require face-to-face meetings, so that has been a little bit hampering us in these recent scenarios. But nevertheless, all our requirements are actually mandatory. Even though you like a dam or a bridge, you can either delay it for 2 or 3 months, but you cannot cancel it all because it's a mandatory inspection. So some or the other, you have to get these inspections done for this infrastructure. So we have always that advantage to us to get these orders closed. Only thing is that because of all this COVID and all these things get a little bit delayed, but I think we are able somehow to manage in these things.
This is an off-the-cuff question, Johns. Yeah. Did anybody from the government or NGOs approach you to go and test to go and test our Mullaperiyar Canal dam?
So Mullaperiyar we have not ventured into, but we have done one of the dams in Kerala called Kallargutti.
Okay.
Where there was, I'm not disclosing major details. There was an issue with this mud and other things coming into the turbine, and we had done a survey for them, found out the exact problem, and they were able to make the repairs and other things actually. So we have done almost 3 projects in Kerala. Kallargutti Dam we have done, in Siruvani Dam. One of the projects we have done, one project in Valapatram railway bridge for Southern Railways. So we have done a couple of projects, but majority of the projects is outside Kerala.
Let me ask you this: so, is it yours is a product company or a service company? Are you, or is it a both? I'm a little confused.
I think most of us, like most of others, ask these questions whether we are a product or services company. So as of now, we do both. We do sell the product, even though we started off the vision that we wanted to build the equipment and sell it to end users. But what the market responded in the initial years was they don't want to work as a capex model, where they want to operate on an opex model, where they take the services, get the infrastructure inspected, get the report what is the condition of their asset, and they make a decision. They don't want to own the equipment, and they don't want to take the headache of things. So it has been mostly in the initial years it was mostly our services for most of these clients, but in the recent months actually we have started generating leads for product sales also, but totally a different market for disasters and other market, not the exact similar one. So we have 2 different markets for these products.
Yeah. Now, are you going to concentrate only on underwater drone, or any other product range or service range is going to come out from you, Johns?
Yeah. So our vision is to make sure that our infrastructures are intact and they don't face any problems in the future. So whatever are the solutions in this solving this problem, so we basically started off with an underwater drone. We are looking at other solutions on surface drone, aerial drones, and similar to solutions which can support this vision of infrastructure inspection we would be venturing into. So we have few products in pipeline coming up in the coming months and over the next years actually. So
Thank you. Coming to Vignesh. Vignesh, I think currently if I look at your company, it looks more of a research and development organization than
Yes.
a product organization or a product and service organization, etc. So what is the shape of the company going to be? What is your plan? What is the
As
plan
of
that you and
now,
Saurabh Chatterjee have on
yeah,
the
yeah,
products
sure.
and solutions that you're going to come out with?
Yeah, as of now, we are focusing our efforts into the research and development,
Okay.
because we feel that it is very important that the product is one of the best. We want to be the world leaders in this market.
Yeah.
So to compete with these already existing systems, basically the US based systems and the German based systems, we have to be the best in the technology.
Okay.
So as of now, we are focusing all our efforts into R&D.
Okay.
And once that is out, once the products are mature to a good level, we would like to go more of a product based company rather than product and services. Basically, we would like to be a one stop solution to all these testings.
As per your plan, your organization, yeah, I think I was a little enamored by the name Vashishta Research. Actually,
Yes, yes.
he was considered to be one of the Saptarshis and involved in the making of Rig Veda. That is what I understand the Vashishta. So
Okay.
why Vashishta? Here I hear names like Shastra, Jet Robotics, EyeRov, etc. Suddenly we come across somebody very Indianish and Vashishta. Why Vashishta?
Yeah. Why Vashishta? Basically, our founder named the company. I was not there during
At
that
that time.
So I will tell you why I feel that he named it as Vashishta, because we feel that the technology development in the country is very less.
Okay.
Most of the companies we see or we meet and we have interactions with, most of them in our field are either services, they import the systems, or they assemble the systems. So his vision for developing the systems and his vision for giving importance to the knowledge base created in the country, and basically he or we feel that the knowledge is power as of now, and so the importance for knowledge in R&D is what we would like to focus on, and we would like to build systems in India and locally,
Right.
basically.
Atmanirbhar.
Atmanirbhar, yes.
Okay. I understand. Okay. So this is a question to both. See, fundamentally, I see in things like AI, robotics, ML, etc. There is always this great oomph attached to it because nobody understands what it is. And when we start understanding what it is, robotics is becoming a little boring. Is it so?
No. I feel it's really interesting because, see, it's a collaboration between a lot of engineering disciplines.
Okay.
The mechanical engineers, the electronics engineers, the software engineers, all of them have to sit at one table, and then you build a robotic system, right?
Yeah.
So the collaborative nature is what makes it very interesting. That we
Okay.
have respect for this field, we have mutual respect for each other, and what comes out also is really beautiful when you finally see our robot working and doing what we want, and
I
that
understand.
too brings a lot.
Okay. Vignesh said that actually the software element, the research element, actually the manufacturing, everything is done by them. It is not that the hardware is bought from outside and the solutions are made by customizing. How is it with the EyeRov technologies, Johns?
yeah, it's almost similar to us. We also build it and from scratch actually.
Yeah.
Because most of the items are costly, we cannot afford to, because one of the advantage we had was actually we didn't had funds, so we had to build it everything from scratch. So I think every hardware entrepreneur would understand that you are not with the luxury of getting sensors and other things, so we have to build much of the system. So we had built almost all the systems from scratch. And
so let me get an emphasis on this. Is the all in your case actually the sensors are very important. Are all the sensors developed by you?
Yeah, so we have two cases. All the product, basically the platform which is called underwater drone or ROV, it is developed by us. Which
Yeah.
even though we have few specific part like thrusters which are not available in India, we do import. Apart from that, we have payloads actually, which actually adds value to the platform or the drone. Like in aerial drone, you have thermal cameras, other things. Some of the payloads are developed indigenously by us, and some of them are imported, and we do integrate based on the customer requirement. Like he has an NDT requirement where we also have NDT requirements in some of the applications. So we get the NDT payload and integrate and then do that inspection.
Yeah, Vignesh, the question to you is that actually one of the leading aircraft and aerospace engineering company is HAL, Hindustan
Yes, yeah.
Aeronautics Limited.
Yes,
I
yes.
also see that the Tatas as well as the Reliance groups, etc., is going to come out with a lot of other defense manufacturing possibilities as we see as part of the Make in India concept and Atmanirbhar, etc.
Yes.
So if you really look at, I mean, have you been already connected to HAL, or do you think you have a very immediate possibility of working with a huge entity such as HAL in times to come?
Yeah, actually, as I told you, our technology is yet to be matured.
Okay.
And yeah, we are in touch with actually our primary contact is with ISRO, ISRO.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, we are talking to private companies like LMW,
Yeah.
and these people also have requirement for NDT of composites, basically
Yeah.
for NDT of aerospace, you can say.
Yes.
And yeah, maybe we will go full on after around 6 months when our technology is matured to certain extent.
Yeah. This is another question to both of you. I'll start with John. John, by 2030, where will your company be?
Yeah, so we are looking to be one of the best marine robotics company in the world.
Okay.
I think it's almost 9 years down the line,
Yes.
and we are looking at least serving around 25 countries,
Okay.
or even more than that in by that time frame, and almost looking at adding 5 more products to the pipeline. I have set a target for 2027, not 2030.
Oh, acha. So you you have already come to 2027. So by 2027, you should be one of the leading marine robotics company in the world. That's what. That's what you're. Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me, Vignesh. So where will you be in 2030?
So hopefully we would be the leading industrial robotics development company, not an assembling company.
Yeah.
And our brand.
Does that mean that you will do the development and hand over franchising into manufacturing to others?
Yeah, manufacturing we would like to outsource actually.
Okay.
And basically we do that now also. R&D
Yeah.
we make the designs, and the manufacturing is outsourced.
Okay.
And we would like to be the world-class. We would like to develop world-class deep tech technologies.
Yeah.
And we would like to be among the top companies that are into robotics and into inspection.
Right. Yeah. Now I'm taking some questions from the audience. I have a question already seen from Bala, our vice president here, and he was asking this question. Yes. Bala's question is this: as these are technology-driven products and technology is changing rapidly, multiple methodologies exist for NDT, for example. How are you going to face technology challenges and protect your innovation? We'll start with you, Vignesh.
Yes. So these NDT equipments have been developed in the Western countries long time back.
Yeah.
And these are still being used as of now.
Yeah.
And we don't see the physics or for example, if you take manufacturing, there has not been much innovation over the last few years.
Yeah.
And so similarly, we don't feel that there's going to be a disruptive technology in the field of NDT for aerospace. And that's what. So
Okay,
we would
fine.
feel that our application would serve most of the customers' requirement.
Do you want to answer on this, John, or can you go to the next question?
Yeah, you can go to the next question. I think mostly.
Right. Okay, right. This question comes from Ninu Shikaria. In fact, I was talking to her to ask. She has been regularly asking questions in all this meeting. Ninu asked this question that, up to what extent the robotics can be implemented in electrical substation and factories towards fault detection and rectification. You take the call, John. Then go ahead.
Yeah, I think I cannot give an answer now because depends upon what is the requirement in that electrical substation, and fault detection and rectification is a very generalized term.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe we can take it offline. But
Okay, right.
like
Vignesh, would you want to comment upon this?
Yeah, even my expertise is not in that field, so
Okay, fine. We
I'm
leave
not
it
in
at
a
that.
position to give
So
an
we
answer.
leave it at that. I have this question from one of our panelists earlier called Sujit Kattatara Bhaskaran. He says, question to both panelists. Okay, do you have any overseas customers and do you have plans to scale overseas? Do you see this as a big scale up strategy? And what are the key challenges that you would prevent that would prevent you from taking this path?
yeah. So one of our next strategies is actually to expand outside India.
Okay,
We have been getting a lot of inquiries, particularly from Middle East,
okay,
uh, to offer the solution, particularly in the Middle East, where they have a lot of assets, oil and gas assets, offshore assets over there. So we are looking at expanding to overseas. So one of the challenges we face is that uh, I think most of here people would understand that you need to have a right partner over there to expand,
yeah.
because someone needs to understand how the system works over there. In India, different, and Middle East, it's totally going to be different. So
Yeah.
we are looking for partners over there to offer our products and solutions. We have already started, and is in the final process of shortlisting few of them.
Okay, Vignesh.
Yeah, most of our market, the main market for our NDT equipments is the global market only.
Yeah.
And so we would like to go to the global market as soon as possible. We have also got some inquiries, but since our products are not up to the matured level yet, we have been delaying that. And to go global, yes, our strategy has to be different because there are already global companies making the same equipments. And we would have to be unique in a way that we combine the automation and the NDT very effectively to provide a completely automated system. That is our strategy which we would use.
This is a question to both of you again. The question is actually, see, when you really look at these high technology products and solutions or the research and development outputs that comes, a global company in this area with a lot of funds around with them could come and give you a proposition to buy you over. So what do you envisage those chances? And if that happens, what could be your response, Johns?
Yeah, so I would say depends upon what is a vision they are looking at, how they want to take it the company forward.
Yeah.
So if it aligns, I would not say no, but it depends upon some other factors also, like the vision and all those things. So basically, to my basic philosophy is that I'm not looking at building a very large company, but we wanted to build technologies, commercialize it, prove it, and build to a certain level, and then probably again reinvent on other solutions and progressively. So yeah, that's why my major philosophies, thought processes.
Vignesh, somebody comes and says
Yeah.
that here is the money, sell it.
Yeah, personally speaking, I'm not in favor of selling the company or anything.
Okay.
I would like to rather uh, go up to their level and be a competitor with them.
You want to compete with
And
them, and maybe you will like to put up a
maybe
proposition to them.
buy
Yeah,
them.
okay, right. Okay. That is great. At least, I understand that sort of a spirit is very important. Question from Alisha. She's a student from School of SEMS Business School. Question is, who is your biggest competitor and how do you differentiate yourself from them? Johns, you?
Yeah, so for us, we have on the product side, we don't have any competitor from India. We have overseas competitors, particularly from US and Europe. On the inspection as a services side, we have a competitor, another company, another startup in India itself, based out of Chennai, who are into similar space. And apart from that, we do face some competition on very shallow depth, up to 20-30 meters from diving.
Okay.
So that's it.
Yeah, that is a physical diverse
Yes,
spectrum. Okay,
yes.
I understand. So, what about you,
Yeah.
Vignesh?
So our major competitors, as he said, are global companies. And
Yeah.
what we are, how we are different is like we are developing the robotics and the NDT equipments. So the
Okay.
global companies also buy a already existing robot. They buy an already existing NDT equipment. They integrate it and then they work on it. So since we are developing the entire thing, it is more customizable and is more economical to the customers. That's how we would like to differentiate.
Right. Since both of you are postgraduate engineers and studied in premium schools in the country, this question comes from this. This is a generic question. The Prakash asked this question: which one, according to you, is the best robotic college in the world? Robotic college, a college for robotics. Which university, which college that I can go and learn the best robotics technology?
I think MIT is one of the best.
MIT. John?
Yeah, so I've chance to visit two or three universities over there.
Yeah.
One was CMU, Carnegie Mellon, have a very good robotics department.
Yeah.
MIT, as Vignesh said, has a good robotics department.
Okay.
And I don't think it matters that much. Any of the Ivy League will have a good robotics department.
In future, maybe India will
maybe India. So tell me, as far as robotics technology is concerned, India, how competitive is India in terms of research, development, production, and integration?
Globally, India is way far back the Western countries.
Right.
If you look at the robots also, there is not even one company in India that is an industrial robot manufacturer. For example, there are ABB, KUKA. There's not even one company in India that does it at their level. And if you look at the high class robots like the humanoids, we are like way back in that.
Yes.
So India has a long way to go. There's no doubt. And companies like ours and EyeRov, I think we will fill the gap.
Okay. Johns?
Yeah, so I have a similar opinion to what Vignesh was telling, except that I am seeing some companies who are even competing to the level of ABB and other companies. One of the company where I worked before was Grey Orange Robotics is coming up to that level. It's now probably going to be a unicorn in this year or probably next year, and having like head offices in US and all. So some companies are coming up, hopefully, because this ecosystem has to come. So the problem with this is that if you have to get manufactured and get parts at low cost, then we have to depend on either China or other companies. So this total ecosystem has to come up to support this manufacturing, because robotics has a lot of elements. As Vignesh was telling, it requires software, hardware, and intelligence. Everything comes in. So you need to have the right ecosystem to build a company like that. And obviously, it is a very capital intensive process to build a hardware company. And for us, mostly Indian investors and others are mostly I would say more inclined to on software startups, because definitely the risk is also high in hardware startups.
And I believe their awareness level of these technologies is also not that high, right? What do you say, John?
Yeah, awareness is not that high, and also the returns are much slower.
Yeah, those returns are much slow. They would like to exit in about 24 months time, and you can't actually give them away for that.
Yes,
not minimum 3 to 4 years is what we would.
That is right. Still with a lot of risk attached. So since you said about humanoids, so which company in India can actually create a Sophia with ML also attached to that?
I don't know, maybe.
Or your company can take up the challenge of creating a Sophia.
If we get the right ones.
What do you say,
That's a very R&D intensive and the capital intensive so basically, more than capital intensive, I think the technology is very sophisticated for humanoids, because balancing on 2 feet is one of the most difficult control problems.
Okay.
And and even my major project was related to that field. So I know that it's a very highly technically very difficult problem.
All right. Okay. So we are at the very last. I am asking the last question. I would like you to answer, both of you to answer. Yeah. See, I have invited a lot of B school students as well as engineering students to attend this from the perspective of understanding cutting edge technologies and creating entrepreneurship opportunities in that. What is your message to them? Johns, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think I've learned many things in the hard way.
Yeah.
So one of the thing I learned is that, and some of our mentors also had advised us, is that you should not, particularly with coming from tech background, you should not stick with the product a lot. You should try to commercialize it, get your finances correct, That's one. I think Balagowal sir always say that
Yeah.
you should get your finances right. So don't get carried away by the aura of the product. You should get the product commercialized as fast as possible. Take care of your finances properly. You should have clear plans on how to execute. Yeah, and obviously I think everybody knows regarding you should have the perseverance, and it's been told by many I would say recognized people. So you should have the right perseverance and patience to make it achieve. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you should have the sufficient stamina to run a 7-year journey or probably a 10-year journey actually.
But with the technology changing so fast, it has to be a marathon with a sprint speed.
Well, it's not with technology, it's with the funding. It has been it has been.
What is your message to the would-be potential cutting-edge technology entrepreneurs, Vignesh?
I would like to say that these technologies as of now are very important.
Yeah.
Even if you look at the deep tech and also the common man in our country,
Yeah.
our technologies can help a man one day or our nation one day in any way or the other, many ways.
Yes.
So we should not be reliant on other countries to develop such technologies, and we should, and our college or our educational institutes, even though we criticize them a lot, they are the best platform to learn and to experiment and to start and find out the gaps in the technology areas. And yeah, it is going to be a hard journey, but eventually there will be returns for that. That's what we believe, and that's what we would like to convey to all the other people.
Vignesh, your father must, I think you said that your father is also listening to it. Your father must be asking, Mone, you could have taken a good job and done, why are you doing all this? Did he ask you?
Yeah, many times. I mean,
how about your case, John?
I think I had good support from parents actually to start up.
Okay.
So I never had this question of that.
Okay, right.
But I had from others, my other relatives, I had this question actually.
Okay, fine. I have enjoyed talking to you both. You are in a completely different plane altogether, and this is more of R&D, lots of hard work, and lots of testing, lots of development orientation that is required. And as you rightly said, the products to come out, heavy amount of capital intensity is also there, and you have taken the risk. I'm sure you will go places. Here is best wishes to you, and keep seeing you, keep watching you, keep seeing your photographs on the TV. Sorry, your video on the TV and the photographs on the newspaper. All the very best to you, and I'm handing you back to our Madhav Chandran, our president. Madhav, always.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Johns and Vignesh. As sir very rightly said, you're on a different plane altogether. When we are listening to all kinds of startup entrepreneurs who are making fortunes in a jiffy, maybe in a couple of years' time, sell off the companies to somebody else, make more fortunes and go on. Here is, a bunch of entrepreneurs who are actually having the perseverance, as John rightly said, perseverance, and of course the patience to wait for the results to happen over a longer period of time. I'm sure, the points which you highlighted here over your years of hard work, which is still going on. I mean, it's still not yet. The light is there at the end of the tunnel, but you have not come out of that. But in the meantime, you have already gained recognitions, accolades, and people have accepted you as the real entrepreneurs who are in the making, who are doing something which is revolutionary, which is something which India is quite far behind, as Vignesh rightly said. We are not there in the map. When we are, there are so many unicorns out there. When we are struggling to place one or two there, the reason obviously are many, and one among them, this is what it is. People are really looking at those quick bucks and making some money and sell off and then move on. And that is where you stand different on a different plane. And thank you so much for those wonderful experience sharing which you did here. And thank you, sir, for bringing out those points from them. And here we have all the students. I can see the light in the eyes of these two entrepreneurs. I'm sure it will be shared into the eyes of those young ladies and guys who are here in our midst today. I'm sure they must have got a lot of takeaways from the conversation which we had. Thank you so much. Thanks for the time, and thanks for being here with KMA. We have with us our Executive Director, Jojo Jacob, Lieutenant Jojo Jacob, to propose the vote of thanks. Before that, let me just inform you that we have the next program coming up on 28th of May. That is next week. We have the next of the leader talk sessions, which is with a very, very celebrated leader, Mr. Indranil Sen, who is the senior transformational leader at Accenture, Singapore. He is an expert in the domain of supply chain logistics, and he is going to talk to us on the topic of digital transformation in the areas of supply chain and logistics. That is on 28th of May. Mr. Indranil Sen, the senior transformation leader at Accenture, Singapore, going to talk to KMA. So please mark the date. We'll be sending you the Zoom link and other details very soon. So please keep watching our announcements and notices across all media and other means, and be there with us while we are trying to overcome this situation right now. Now it is time for vote of thanks by our Executive Director, Lieutenant Jojo Jacob. Over to you, Jojo.
Jojo can't hear.
Jojo
cannot hear. Yeah.
You're not audible, Jojo.
Not audible.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, yes, fine,
yeah.
fine.
Respected President, past presidents, MC members, speakers for the day, Mr. John Mathai, Mr. Vignesh, delegates, and students. A very good evening to you all. It was yet another fruitful session, hearing from successful startup entrepreneurs, Mr. Johns and Mr. Vignesh. It is very heartening to hear that more and more of our youngsters are taking up the challenge of entrepreneurship and making it big. As told by Johns, not to stick with the product, get it commercialized and have your finances in place. Vignesh told to find out the gaps in the technology and follow it up, and eventually success will be yours. I'm sure the youngsters listening to them would have taken up these cues. The passion, the struggles, and the perseverance which they showed would encourage the students to give it a try into the field of their passion. Wishing you, Mr. Jones and Mr. Vignesh, the very best in the years to come.
Thank you.
May you have more projects and bring name and fame to you and our country. Thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us today.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Program Committee Chair, Mr. S.R. Nair, for moderating this session. Thank you all for joining us. Wish you all a good night. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Yeah.
And we have a look at that memento which we have curated for both of you. It will be coming to you. It's not a online virtual memento. It is a real one, which will reach you very soon as soon as the courier starts operating. This is a proof of you being here, a specially curated one from KMA. All the best, and may God be with you in your journey forward.